Okay, well, so much for that prediction. Part of the charm of watercolor is its unpredictability. If you saw the previous video, there was a lot of pooling paint right here, and I thought it was going to create more of a, ended up happening over here, where there was enough water and paint and dry paper and wet paper and no place else to go for. I will say that one of the reasons I do like 300-pound paper is that it's much more forgiving when it comes to inconsistent drying, and is a lot with 140-pound paper is a lot easier to get more blooms. So especially if you're not interested in those blooms, or that can be a challenge. I'm going to, as you can see, my water was clear enough where I had my hockey brush line that it's, even though it wasn't sort of an exact line, it disappeared. So what I'm going to do now for this next step is start in with some real light washes, and the same kind of thing of just some light blue coming all the way down, kind of like we've been doing on the other studies of the receding hills. But unlike that, I am going to, instead of just starting straight off with my number 12 round and coming in that way, I am going to do again, I'm going to show you, use the hockey brush again. Hockey. And something I often do is, if I'm pre-wetting an area that I want to bring in some color, I will decide what area I am gonna wet. I do want wet initially, what big shape, and I am going to do everything except the sky. So I'm not going to try to use the hockey brush to find exactly that line, but I am going to just sort of get close to everything that's not sky, and then use my regular 12 round brush to come back in to identify that. Well, define, I suppose, is a better word. So anyways, this looks like, and that looks like this. Woo! Yes, did I mention the good to have a place it can drip? This particular tape was repurposed from a different watercolor painting, so it's pooping out a little bit faster than I'd like it to be pooping out, but I may deal with that, I may not. So I put in all that water into that big shape, and now I'm coming back with my finer tool to be a little bit more careful about where that line is. And a lot of this is really sort of just pre-wetting the paper, so that all of this stuff that I do like this, it's already nice and wet, and a lot of most of the paper, so it's gonna make it that much easier and quicker. Actually, that's kind of fun in itself, but it's gonna be that much quicker and easier to just come across here like this, because the paper's already wet. sometimes I want that to be a lot more specific, and I'll explain that. Look at that. What I did was mix up a little bit of more concentrated color because I know it's going to keep getting darker and darker down here. You might call that a graded wash. I shouldn't be silly about that. It'd be a fun thing to literally discuss, but that's one way to do a graded wash. I'm going to stop there. That's going to be enough for this layer. Yes, there's going to be lots of layers if you haven't guessed that by now. I want to get rid of this, all the extra paint along here. And I'm just sneaking up on it a little bit more. The studies, when I was doing the receding hills studies, practice sort of projects, simpler projects, I went a little bit quicker because I wasn't quite as concerned with how light things, I wasn't quite as concerned with controlling my values. Why did I just tip it like that? This paint was pooling again, and I figured maybe this time it might do that thing where it would create a bloom when it dried. I'm going to have to replace this tape. But I'm going to let it just dry flat. So that way, I'm sure it will just dry a little bit dark, but I want to make sure you can sort of see angle-wise what's happening. So we've layered a really light layer of the peacock blue, and indeed that's turning slightly green, but it's still very light, and it's going to be sort of a combination of light grayish, purplish, greenish, bluish kind of thing, and it's going to be fun. Okay, I'm going to let that dry now.